It's not on other people. The obligation is on us to tell our story. You know, so if you show up at a museum and they have this small little space on our history, it's our fault.
Right.
It's our fault. As the saying goes, our community, our responsibility.
Where's the museums?
And I make no excuses. So we're going to get started. It's 10 o'clock. We will begin with Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. I bear witness that there is none worth worship except Allah, and that Muhammad is his prophet. And I want to thank everyone for being here again this week. I missed you all last week on Study al-Islam, but I got an added treat to hug and kiss so many people that I had not seen in 2, 3, 4 years since COVID has kind of separated us socially. It was evident how much we needed to see each other and be in each other's company. And, you know, whatever love there was, we got that opportunity to share it, which brings me to the point of why this topic on emergency readiness is so important, because we never know what we will be faced with in the future, the next day, the next few minutes. So I'm not going to take any more time. I want to briefly introduce our first speaker, who happens to be a young brother by the name of Ibrahim Abdul-Malik. His grandparents came to the Nation of Islam. He was born in this community, he and his brothers and sisters. And Ibrahim, I just want to say to you that I've been a long time advocate, outspoken person on emergency readiness at Masjid Muhammad. And when you took up this project, I was just so elated and willing to do whatever I could to support you. So Ibrahim, begin by telling us how this topic became, emergency readiness became important to you, and then why this project happened under your leadership.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. So I wasn't always that interested in emergency preparedness. So this project was a gateway for me to actually know more about it. I don't know if you're familiar with HACIMA, but they manage Ready DC. So I did coordinate with them. So I did learn a lot about emergency preparedness from them. So that was really my first introduction to wanting to do this project, and through you as well. The nature of the Eagle Scout project is to do something that benefits the community. So I talked with the Majeed board members. You were among one of them. So that's how I chose my project.
And so right now you are a Eagle Scout. And what is the ranking of an Eagle Scout?
So that's the highest rank you can achieve in Boy Scouts. Usually a lot of honors come with that and responsibilities. Among one of them, to get to the Eagle Scout, you have to do a project, something that benefits the community, something that it should last beyond your years. But the baseline is supposed to help the community for a very long time. So that was, go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so moving on from that, the Eagle Scout comes with scholarships, um, for college, what have you. So, and also a lot of high-ranking people in this country were Boy Scouts and were Eagle Scouts. So you're introduced to a very vast network of high placed people.
And Ibrahim, right now you're a college student, isn't that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And how long have you been in the Scouts? Did you start as a Cub Scout the first level?
So you're a Cub Scout, I believe, before the age of 12. So that's just where you will be when you are below 12 or 12. But when I started, I was 14. So I did start as a scout and I moved up from there.
I see. And so so what has it helped? How has it helped you? I see you're so serious, but I also know you come from parents who are very serious, and your mom, I think, homeschooled you guys for a long period of time. Isn't that correct? Yes. How many siblings do you have? How many are in your family, your brothers and sisters?
I have 3 siblings, one
Okay.
sister and 2 brothers.
And so how has being a scout, because that, I think there's 7 levels of a scout, is that correct? I kind of did my homework.
Yes.
And so how has being a scout helped you, and what would you say to the other masjids or communities out there, our community members, why they should form some kind of scout preparation or program in our community?
Well, being a scout, you are introduced to a lot of leadership. So you will be leading a lot, and that's a very big thing for me. Personally, I cannot stress enough the importance of being a leader. And you'll see going forward in your professional career, if you choose to, that people will always ask you, like, so what have you done in leadership? So have you led or not? So you have this under your belt. It's really pivotal, like, because again, a lot of people have been in Boy Scouts. A lot of high ranked people have been in Boy Scouts. So that's something that they really like to see.
Okay, and so this readiness kit was a project that you had to undertake in order to become an Eagle Scout, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so let's get to your readiness kit, because I have one and I'm very grateful for it. Can you go ahead and show us some of the items? And as you show us the items, can you kind of describe why you chose that item?
Okay, yes. So first of all, I will explain this. So here's the bag. This is what it comes in. This should not be the bag you use when you get your kit. You should put it in a backpack, something more sturdy, because these are very flimsy. We were on a little bit of a budget, so this is what we were able to get. So that's the bag, which when it comes in, please replace that. And this is the ration, the food. Can you see that?
Yes, you have it right. Go ahead.
Yeah. So this emergency ration, it's 3,600 calories. So just keep that in mind, that you don't have to ration too much. So these should last you about 2 days. Again, I need to preface that these kits shouldn't last you for too long. At max, it should be about 3 weeks. But this food here lasts you about 2 days if you use it moderately. So that's the food. And I chose this specific one because one, it was the cheapest, because again, we were on a budget. And 2, I like how sturdy it is. It isn't as it isn't flimsy or soft or anything like that. So if you're less inclined to eat it, it doesn't have a good taste from what I've heard of reviews about it. So you're not supposed to be eating it like candy. So another one of the things that come in the kits, and I should also mention that the kits don't all have the same thing. Sometimes they'll have extra. Like this one has 2 of these refrigerator magnets. These refrigerator magnets have numbers that you can call in case of an emergency, aside from 911 or 311. They have the DC Homeland Security and Emergency Management Agency. And, I got these from Hasima, who works with Ready DC. So that's where these are from. These were a gift from them. As well, a gift from them. And it's kind of special. these are books. So they gave these as well, but only 5 of them. So only 5 kids come with these books. So this book, it's a disaster readiness book. So it also has a first aid manual as well. It's really helpful. It's about 263 pages long. Not all the kits come with this, but it's a really great item to have. So, and these kits shouldn't be like the only emergency preparedness thing you have. So you should have something else in case of emergency. So definitely get one of these books because they're really helpful. And we have gauze here for the first aid portion of the kits. And I felt like it was really necessary to have, as well as bandages, cloth tape, and we also, I'm gonna just pause here for the cloth tape. I don't know if you can see that.
We can. Mhm.
And this is a hand cranked flashlight that also comes in. So, should I answer that question after or during?
No, you keep going.
Okay.
Brother Ibrahim. Mhm.
Okay. So this is a hand crank flashlight. You just press the button here and it charges. It's a really nifty tool. And you see it turns on. It charges really well. I really like this kind when it was cheap, and it was really, it's really helpful. But another thing and this should be in every one of the kits. This isn't like any varying item. So, but another thing that comes in the kits, and this also functions as a flashlight. So that was a little oversight by me. So this is a hand crank radio. It's one of the, there's no.
Can you hold it up, Brother Ibrahim?
Yes,
Yeah.
opening it. So this is the hand crank radio. It has an antenna, extends this long. It's also a weather radio. So you could just crank it like so. And it can also charge your phone. Mind you, if you have an iPhone.
Oh.
It even comes with a iPhone, plug here.
Wow.
So
Does that run by battery, Brother Ibrahim?
no, it doesn't.
No.
This is hand cranked. See.
Oh.
Mhm. So
and you're saying that can charge your phone as well?
You can charge your phone. This can charge the radio, and it's a regular FM AM radio. And see, it's also a flashlight. So it has multiple functions. It's also solar powered.
Oh, wow.
Yes, it's also solar powered. This was it's a very good item to have.
Yes, because it allows you to be in contact with the outer world in terms of news and what is happening. Yeah.
And it also it also has an Android charger as well. So it can charge Android and iPhone.
So let me ask you, Ibrahim, in preparing these kits, because I know there's thousands of items that can be chosen. You chose these items to put in your kit. How many days do you know that a person should be emergency ready?
So it should definitely be dependent on wherever you plan to go in an emergency situation. So if you plan to go to your grandma's, your mom's, and they might be in another state, then you want to prepare for how long that might take you, whether it be by car or by foot. So that's what you should account for.
Okay, so that's a very important point, because that's one of the reasons why I'm advocating so heavily for the masjids to be ready. Because if no place else, we want to go to the masjid. If you can't get to family member's house or someone close, you live alone, you want to go to the masjid. So what does a kit with the number of, you don't have a gas mask in there, which is what I'm ordering next in my
So
emergency.
we have a,
Have something,
yeah, so we have a dust mask, and these
oh,
are non-latex gloves. So if you're allergic to latex, you needn't worry because these aren't latex. And so I want to take it out, but it's a mask and gloves, so
Sure.
I
I
don't
mean,
want to
the
get them
fact-
contaminated.
the
So
fact that you have one. So did you show food? I mean, is there food in your
yeah,
kit?
yeah,
Let
yeah.
me see your, let me see
This
your
is the
food
food.
again, because you know we
Yeah.
want to eat.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is the emergency rations. So it keeps blurring it out.
Okay.
But yes, these are
Oh,
the
yeah.
emergency food rations. Um,
And how many days, how many meals are in that?
oh, so this should last you about 2 to 3 days if you use it in moderation. The human body needs a lot, so but
But they
like
do have, but they
Mhm.
do have sealed meals, isn't that correct? In addition to that, what you're showing.
I do. Well, I don't have that in my kit,
Right.
but yes, they do have meals that you can just pop open and you're able to eat them. They're non-perishable, by the way.
So
again,
is there
this is-
anything else in your kit that you would like to show us as we get
Oh
ready to
yeah, I'm
close? Mhm.
still going. So these are the this is the water. This is the non-perishable water.
Ah,
Drinking water. It's pure. It like you see, it's in a pouch, so you just need to rip it a little bit. I believe you can also use water bottles if you want, but these were smaller.
Yeah.
This water should not last you that long, mind you. But there is a helpful tool that you can get where you're able to drink from rivers and streams. There's also a whistle here. We didn't try them out because that would be disgusting. So we also have, this is a bag of matches. So this bag has matches, tweezers, and it has a military grade can opener. This can opener also comes with instructions because I didn't know what a military grade can opener was until I did this project. So we put instructions for anyone who might be confused. There's also a cold compress. It's also part of the first aid portion of the kit. A thermometer, electric thermometer. So this one isn't like any press powered or whatever. You need batteries for it if it runs out. So also a thermal blanket, emergency survival blanket. So it's the ones that NASA uses for space travel, I believe. Yeah. So these keep you very, very warm. So keep that in mind if you feel like you're about to catch on fire. That's the purpose of this blanket. So these are just some other items, bandages, ibuprofen, aspirin. We have big and small bandages. This kit comes with like a little few extra bandages. And yeah, you see the ibuprofen.
right.
It's blurring, but yeah. So that is everything that is in this kit, and that should be everything that you should find generally in all the kits.
Brother Ibrahim, we are coming to the close, as I've said so often. This is just to give people an overview of what they need, but you have given me permission that we can share your contact information, but everybody needs to do their homework. Isn't that correct, Brother Ibrahim, in terms of preparing? Yes. Their readiness kits, but your information is in the contacts where anyone that wants to contact you for any consultation and guidance, they can contact you via email. Is that correct, Brother Ibrahim?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, I can post that in the chat.
Would you do that? I want to thank you.
Sorry,
I want to
did I
thank, of course.
Did I overstep the 15-minute mark, or did we go beyond that?
Yes, you have a minute. Go ahead.
Oh, so I just wanted to make sure because I didn't want to go.
We're not going to answer
right
any
on the
questions.
time mark. Yes.
Yes. Yeah, we are. We're not going to answer any questions here. The purpose of inviting Ibrahim, let me ask you this one. That kit costs what? Because kits cost different amounts based on what it is that you want to purchase. Isn't that right, Brother Ibrahim?
Yes. So what do
So
you
they
ask?
can vary.
Yes. Oh, well, so normally you'll find if it's emergency preparedness, they actually get
Yes.
right, they become quite expensive. That's why these are free in an emergency situation. So like what's going on in Florida with their hurricane, you can come to the masjid and these should be given out for free. But I should mention that at the discretion of the masjid, because this was my gift to the masjid, they are able to change that purpose and sell them if they want to. So I'm not in control of that.
So let me say this because we do need to transition out. And there are a lot of questions. This is very, very, very important. But your masjids can contact your in your city. They can get a lot of this stuff for free because of the relationships that they have. And the emergency readiness is very, very on everybody's mind right
Mhm.
now in view of what we're going through. So Brother Ibrahim has put his contact information in. Any questions you want to know, please send them directly to him on the scouts, on the emergency readiness kit. I want to say thank you very much. You did a great service to our community. We're very proud of the work and your leadership in preparing these. And I know how difficult it was for you because because of the expense associated with it. How many kits did you prepare?
50. Yeah,
Wow.
50 kits.
And you gave them to the seniors, is that correct?
They're for anyone who needs them in an emergency situation.
Okay, then.
Mhm.
And we are all in an emergency situation. So we should all have an emergency readiness kit. Is that correct, Ibrahim? Would you say so as an Eagle Scout?
Yes, if we have a hurricane coming, yes. Again,
That's right.
masjid, masjid discretion.
So we're going to move on. Thank you, Ibrahim. And please extend our warm greetings and salams to your parents and your
Thank you for having me.
Oh, we're so proud of you. Thank you. We're going to move on to Najah Riker. Najah, I've known her for so many years as an entrepreneur, a businesswoman. But Najah, you have become an author now. You have authored this emergency readiness pamphlet. And Ibrahim spoke on emergency readiness from one aspect in terms of, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told us to be prepared. But Najah has developed something that I find is very important to my use. Sister Najah, please go ahead and tell us what inspired you to to author this pamphlet.
Okay, first of all, let me say assalamu alaikum to everyone, and thank you, Sister Fitrah, for giving me this opportunity to present this information. I created it because of basically what's been going on lately with COVID, before COVID, and family and friends not having information for their loved ones in the case of an emergency. It's by no means a last will and testament. It's not that. It's just a tool, a resource to make things easy for your family and friends in the case of an emergency.
Right.
Okay. Because I experienced that quite a bit in my own family with my loved ones returning to Allah and us not having no information because they didn't have a will. So like I said, this is just to make things easier. And you give it to someone that you trust that will carry out your wishes. Okay, the booklet is, Marsha, you can go to the next slide, please. When you open it up, it tells you say that what it is you want to fill out in this booklet. Only that information that you feel relevant, because the booklet is filled with private information that you might not want to give to someone. But in my case, I would complete the book and give it to my sister because that's my loved one who's going to take care of everything for me in the event something happens to me. So, because when I give it to someone, the first thing they do is they open it up and say, oh, I'm not giving this information to nobody. But it says give the information that you feel relevant for someone to have. Okay. And as you can see here on that page, you have to sign it, put your date, and yes, this page right here. You put your date, the date it was prepared, the name of the person, and the relationship of with you and that person. You can go to the next slide, Marsha. Okay, this is just one of the pages that has your legal residence, you know, your name, your date of birth, birth certificate. If you want to put your passport. Next page, please. You have your medical information. I've only outlined the pages for the presentation that would be really, really important if something happens to you, you know, in the hospital, if they need consent and things like that. Next slide, please.
But in the chat, we have your information where people can write you for a copy of this. So
Right.
I want people to know that although you're not showing the whole book, the whole pamphlet, they will be able to write you. Please go ahead.
Okay, so a few of the things that I did list, and this is by no means the first book of its kind, but I believe that it has information in it that other books don't have, such as, like on this page here, who you want, what director of a funeral parlor that will take care of you with your janazah. If you have a prepaid registered janazah set up, your burial plots, as you can see the information there. Next slide. Here you have who you want to shroud you. In my case, my sister wouldn't know who to call for me. So if she has this book, all my sister's names are there, their phone numbers, call bearers, who I want to take care of my business at that particular time. Okay. Next page.
And Sister Najah, before you go on, the janazah part of this is so extremely important because so many of us have loved ones that are not Muslim. And
absolutely.
I know from working at the masjid that so many times they call, or there's always this controversy on whether they will allow them to be buried Muslim or not. And if you don't take care of that while you are still on this side, then you can become a victim very quickly, a Muslim buried un-Islamically or not the way you want to be buried. Is that, I'm sure that you've experienced that in Newark a lot.
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay,
right.
Go
and
ahead.
Here you also have pages in the back where you write your own obituary. Okay, which also eases that from your loved ones happen to. I have experienced someone coming to me asking me what I knew about this person because they were trying to put the obituary together. So write your own obituary. Okay, next page, please. And then at the end of the book, it has a notary. Okay, where you can get it notarized. And hopefully, inshallah, whoever you give it to, they will carry out your wishes. You know, like I said, this is not a will, this is not a legal document, but if you have this information, at least, like it says, it will make things easier for your family and friends if there is an emergency. And that's the main reason why I created it, because so many people return to Allah, and I mean, things just wasn't done properly, so hopefully this will help. It can be purchased on my website. I think the information is in the chat.
It is in the chat, but when you say this isn't a legal document, I want to say, but it is information that you have had notarized. And so it is important information, and it's information coming from you. And so if you give it to the right people, it becomes a legal document, even though, you know, there might be some who want to contest it in the court of law, but usually that has something to do with your assets. But this is an excellent way to convey your wishes about your life when you transition from this life to the next.
Right, exactly. And it could be attached to a will if someone has a will, but many of us don't have a will. So
That's
as
right.
I said, it's just a tool. It's a tool, you know. It would definitely make things easier for your family and friends if something happened to you. I know that for sure. Just
That's
based
right.
on experience, I know that.
I
Okay.
agree with you 1000%. So Sister Najah, we have in the chat, Marsha, we have in the chat, Naima and Marsha, how people can get in touch with Sister Najah. Can we take this down? I want to just show this is the pamphlet. I do have one. I have a will, but I intend to fill this out and give it to the most important people in my life. I know at Masjid Muhammad, every member has a file. I intend to give a copy of this, seal it. I'm going to seal it as confidential and put it in the Masjid file so that there'll be no disputes, although I just don't believe there would be any. But many of us have problems in our families that we know that they're not going to see our wishes through. And at least this gives somebody the power to advocate on our behalf when we're not here. I see we're running over time, but this emergency readiness is really, really important. And so please reach out to Sister Najah. Her information is in the chat. I want to apologize and say, just give us an extra 15 minutes because we're going to hear from Brother Jamal Majeed, who experienced this in real time. This Najah, please, last words.
Just one more thing. Well, the
Yes.
booklet is $10, right? And I also did it kind of like a fundraiser for the masjids. If they're purchasing 20 or more of the booklets, it would only be $7 to them, where they can, you know, make a profit of $3. It's a small gesture, but it helps.
It helps.
So if anyone wants, yes, it helps. So it could be done that way too, as a fundraiser for anything, for school, for masjid, church, any organization. And I'm also taking this into funeral parlors, churches, schools, and trying to get it circulated that way as well.
We appreciate
So
the work that we appreciate the work that you've done to help us to prepare for difficult times when we're not here to advocate for ourselves. So I want to again encourage everyone to reach out to Sister Najah for this very easy, how can I get that? For this very easy method of conveying your information to your loved ones in order to help make their life better in a time of difficulty. Thank you, Sister Najah. Brother Jamal, I want to thank you for being here. I want to just say to everyone that our dear brother Jamal Majeed is the widower of Dr. Deborah Majeed. I want to first say to him, thank you, because he is still grieving the loss of his, or no, I can't say that. He is grieving the fact that she is not here physically with him, but he's a believer in knowing that he will meet her again, inshallah. Dr. Majeed will be remembered forever as a professor, an author, and an advocate for women. But one of the things that you need to know about Dr. Deborah Majeed, she lived by what she believed, and you will hear an example from Brother Jamal on her real time on how what she lived and advocated helped him in his time of grief. And still, with her not being here, For how long, Brother Jamil, has it been?
She transitioned a little over 6 months ago, March 20th of this year.
Unreal. So, Brother Jamil, first of all, I want to apologize to our guests that are on. Forgive me for going over time, but this is an important issue. And the information will be in the newsletter next week. But Brother Jamil, my question to you that I'm trying to be very sensitive and not ask you any questions because I don't know where the line is drawn. But your wife wrote a comprehensive guide that is in the newsletter, this week's newsletter, that sheds information on this. Tell us how this helped you. I want to go directly to the point. This was a very untimely transition. What did you and Dr. Deborah, may she be in the highest place in paradise, how did she come up with this and how did she use this that is helpful to you right now?
Well, a couple things. Deborah, as you mentioned, was real big on protecting the widow. She's a womanist, feminist, women's rights all the way, and especially over the last couple of decades, she zeroed in on women and widows specifically. And in her first book on the polygyny, I think it was 2015, she wrote this book, and it was our kind of our meeting point. But anyway, so in her widow study and another study that she'd done right before her death, she had done all of this work and research on what widows primarily need to know, and widowers, but of course she concentrated from the female aspect of it, of being able to protect the widow, because she had in her research had found out that so many widows were left without not knowing anything. So there was the spectrum, it was the whole spectrum. So one part of it was there was nothing. The widow didn't have any resources, no money for the janazah, nothing at all. Then on the other hand, there were brothers who had prepared their wives for their transition and everything was there, Social Security, pension, blah, blah, blah. So what I'll try to do today is try to explain what we went through as a couple, starting out from our beginning. And just back, I just said, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, assalamu alaikum to the group. But so anyway, what we did, we met in December of 2018 officially at Ashahid Islamic Center in Charlotte. So we began talking. She was divorced, I'm divorced, and that sort of thing. So what we realized was that we wanted to continue this dialogue about getting to know each other, about Islam, her international studies, her international speaking engagements, and all of that. Very, very impressive, very, what I come to know was a very virtuous woman. I married a very virtuous wife. So what I've done, I put some notes together, just timeline, just a quick kind of overview of what we went through to up to her transitioning. So one thing came to mind when I was trying to do this, and Sister Fitrah, forgive me, but I did not want to do this, but not necessarily in thought that I was ready to get before an audience and explain this. But those of you know Sister Fitrah know that she is a very tough negotiator. So if I need to negotiate anything after this, I'm going to have to bring her into my camp, so to speak, to let her do my negotiations going forward. But anyway, long story short, so what I pulled up is this is from the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, and this hadith, and basically it says, take benefit of 5 before 5. And so that first one is your youth before your old age, your health before your sickness, your wealth before your poverty, your free time before your preoccupation, and your life before your death is what I'm going to talk about today. And the fifth one of, again, of do 5 or take benefit of 5 before 5. And the last one is, and your life before your death. Prepare in life before your death. Sister Najah just talked about it. The brother from the Scouts talked about being prepared. So all this is being prepared for life as we know it. So so again, a brief synopsis of Deborah and our journey. Like again, we met 2018 at Ash-Shahid, January 2019. We continued to talk, and I was able to, well, I said, Deborah, let's go to dinner. I can talk a little bit more about your book. She said, no, we won't go to dinner. You can go to lunch. I said, okay, well, lunch is good, you know.
Yeah, I gotta push you on a little bit only because of the time.
Okay, yeah, and I'm good. So again, so we did that. So January, again, I'm just going over my note, January 2018, we talked, February 2019. We continued the dialogue. In March, we met with our Waleed and talked about marriage. Things were just moving really fast. And so again, we fasted the month of Ramadan of May of 2019. And in June 2019, we were engaged after Ramadan. And basically, we were married July 11th of 2019 in a matter of about 7 months. So, but what we knew and coming together that fast is that we knew that we needed a will, right? Because at the time, I had 3 real estate properties. She had 3 real estate properties. And I have 2 daughters. She didn't have any children, but I have 2 daughters. And so all of this wills and all this stuff had to be taken into account. So Deborah wrote the contract, the marriage contract. So you know I'm at a disadvantage. She's writing the contract. But anyway, she wrote the contract. We all of the transparency came out. The real estate property, do you have a pension? Do you have life insurance? All of this stuff needed to be discussed because she had come across this in her widow study that women didn't know whether there was a check account, didn't know how to pay a utility bill. All of these things were there. And so again, when we're putting the marriage together, we knew that we had to talk about pension. We talked about Social Security, life insurance, cars, 401ks, and put all that there. So the whole time that we're going through this, we're, looking at putting the will together, bringing all of the pieces together to put a will together, So, so again, when we looked at it, because I had the 2 daughters and she was the wife, the only wife, so everything was to be divided by 1/3. So I had to go back to my insurance company, my life insurance, put her on that, on the pension, put her on the insurance policy, blah, blah, blah. So we did all of that. She did the same for me, vice versa. We always going and leading in the same direction. So there was all kind of moving targets. So we were married in July, and we go to looking at time here as well. But so we go into what I thought was going to be the house that we were going to live in South Carolina. She said no, the town was too small. She had a condo in Charlotte, so we decided to live between the house in the country and the house in the city, the condo in the city. She later sold her 2 units in Wisconsin, and I will tell you this again, and this is my wife, but she said, again, these are agreements because all this stuff needs to be in writing in the will. So she said, well, this house that I'm selling in Wisconsin, those 2 units, well, that's my money, So, okay, I get that. So again, she's writing a contract. And the houses that I had was our money, And so again, this is her writing the contract in transparency, so that we all know what will happen in the event of one of our transitions.
But I think a very important point here is that you guys were answering and documenting the hard questions.
Absolutely, very much.
Documenting. Let's get to that. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
So, and anyway, so we got to document all of this, and so I'm again was gonna well, I'll back up and say this. So the house we decided in South Carolina was too much rural for her. So she wanted to be in the city life in Charlotte at Shaheed. So we lived between the two places. Then we just decided to start selling real estate. So we sold the property she had in Wisconsin. And then she suggested I sell the property some of the property I had in South Carolina, our money, her money, all like that. So, and again, so this was August, and so October of 2019, after being married 3 years, we bought what we called our forever home in Charlotte. So, and then we started selling and flipping the other property because we were going to concentrate on the property that we purchased in 2019. So all of that was documented, and everything that we needed for the will was there, also including my adult daughters, bringing them in, letting them know this is what's going to happen if something happened to me. And really, to be honest with you, Deborah and I planned for my transition ahead of her. And Allah knows best, but I was 3 years older, male, Black male. The chances of her, of me outliving her was what we thought was remote. So we provided everything for her, that when I transitioned, we had set up the Janazah account in the bank. The money was over here. She write me this check. I need your check. I'm gonna put it in this account. So I can't be out here, like you had mentioned earlier, that Deborah walked the walk and talked the talk. So she said, I can't be out here talking to these widows and I don't have my house in order. So everything was there. So leading up to 2019, we went into COVID 2020, and we were selling real estate. She was giving me her advice from her HGTV experience. She was big on HTV. And so we finally found a house that she could knock a wall out. That was one of the prevailing things that one of my jokes, that we found a house that she could actually take out a wall with a sledgehammer and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, we were living the life, rolling, being able to travel. She was doing lectures at Duke University, at Johnson C. Smith University. She was back to Beloit doing lectures, and always something going on. What was online, she stayed very busy. So all the way up to February like 22, and I'll wrap this. She was walking 5 miles a day. She had joined a boot camp 4 weeks earlier, where she was going in for boot camp from 7 to 8 in the morning. I didn't do that. I said, go ahead. I don't have that stamina. I didn't want to put myself through that grueling type of exercise. And then she would go to class. She was taking law classes at a local college here, Central Piedmont College, on law, and she was doing all type of volunteer work. So we was rolling happy. I mentioned earlier, virtuous woman. We enjoyed everything. We were in the middle of COVID, but we didn't COVID. We were going out helping people, taking meals to people. Their families got sick. They needed cover. We drop off dinners on their front porch, all things like that. So anyway.
And she became ill. She became
right, exactly.
ill.
Yeah, and I'm saying all of that to say that I'm looking at a woman who's walking 5 miles a day in boot camp, picture of health, and the last thing I have on my mind is her transitioning anytime soon. And like I said earlier, I thought that I would never have to do a Janazah. So we 4 weeks out, she was doing all of that, and then within the end of February, and this gets a little sensitive. So the end of February, she became ill, started getting some discomforts. We went to a primary care physician. And then from there, we had to do some lab work within the next week. And before the end of that week, she was in the hospital on March 4th with a bile duct blockage. And so neither one of us, like I said, saw it coming. Allah knows best. So anyway, again, the skinny of it, we were there. We went in on a Friday. Excuse me. And on March 4th, they couldn't get the surgery done. It's called a Whipple, W-H-I-P-P-L-E, a Whipple surgery to remove the bile duct blockage so that, you know, everything will go back to normal. That didn't happen. We were in the hospital from that Friday, March 4th, March 11th. They did the operation. We came home on that Wednesday of that week, and we were back in the hospital on Friday of that same week. So 2 weeks later, we're back in the hospital again, not trying to abbreviate, but what happened, she went back into exploratory surgery that Friday night. They continued to work on her on that Saturday. And then on the Sunday morning, she's in ICU the whole time. And that Sunday morning, she actually transitioned at sunrise on spring, the first day of spring. And so at that point, I'm going through all of the surreal emotions leading up to that point. But what we ended up doing was we had to go to the janazah. So we already had the money for the janazah. The expenses wasn't the issue, but it was the logistics of, so Deborah had basically told me, and we had written down all of her bequeaths, who she wanted to leave an inheritance to. All of that was in, again, it parked in these different silos that I just had to pick up the folder and go. But the biggest thing in front of us, which we had not planned, was her janazah, which I wasn't planning on doing her janazah because I thought she was going to do my janazah. So, so it's Sunday morning, Imam Khalil is there, the community is there, and we said, well, we got to, do this janazah. And I'm okay, let's do it, let's do the janazah. And so it was a lot of, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, Brother Majeed, I'm going to have to close, and I really need to get to the benefit of you and Deborah working together to fill out this information for our married couples, our unmarried couples. So I need you to address the readiness of their time that you spent with her in filling this out.
Right, and so that's what I was coming to. So throughout all of that, bar her, emergency situation, but it was a matter of me going to her office. We had discussed all of this, right? The janazah, all of that, money was, put aside. So I had everything I needed. The only thing that we did not do because of the COVID and flipping properties and living life, we never just got the will documented. So when that's what we were going, that was going to be our next step. And so this again shows you how untimely these things can be. But right. So I was able to take all the information that I have, go to my attorney, James Cyrus, I think he might be on the line, but he showed me how it did walk me through setting up as the executor of the estate. And so once I became the executor of the estate, then it was easy for me to process everything, to process her will, her last will and testament, money bequeathed here for nephews or whoever, that sort of thing. So everything was written and documented. And so it was very easy for me throughout the grief, which is still going on because there's taxes, there's Social Security, there's just so much to do. And if you don't take the preparation like Sister Najah had earlier, what my family should know, Deborah came.
I have it right here.
Through her research, put this together. And then also, if you want to learn more, at the end of Deborah's life, she was she did another widow study, and this book is called Tying the Knot. And it has more information on there on what you need to do to be prepared, life examples of people not being prepared with the will. So if there's any nuggets to be taken away from this, is do a will. You can save your loved ones a lot of headache. It's still a lot of work. I was going to bring it, I left my files downstairs, but my folder is about 12 inches high of probably 15 different things, Social Security, death certificates, bills, changing this over from that name to this name, stopping this publication. It is a lot of work. And again, Sister Fitrah, as you mentioned earlier, if you're Muslim and you got Christian family, if you don't document this, you can end up with a Christian burial by not, again, putting everything you want in your last will and testament to be given out to your loved ones in the event of your transitioning.
I'm going to have to bring this to an end only out of respect for everyone's time. I do want to encourage everyone. Brother Jamal, please put your information in the chat box. I want to just say to everyone that this information that Brother Jamal spoke about, what my family should know, is in the Study Al-Islam newsletter. There's a link that takes you right to this. If you want to get a copy of Dr. Deborah Majeed, may she be in the highest place in paradise, you can write Brother Jamal. Brother Jamal, please put your information in the chat out of respect for everyone's time. Brother Jamal, I want to say to you that the community benefited so much from Sister Deborah Majeed's academic influence on our community. I want to thank you for allowing yourself to be here and share a very personal experience with us in order to give us the real-time example of how important it is that we fill out information and let people know, husband and wives, prepare this information together. Sister Najah, who we want to thank you for your very personal condensed pamphlet that gives us some information on how we can prepare this as a single person. This is really important to me and others. And dear Brother Ibrahim, I want to say thank you to you and the work that you're doing as an Eagle Scout at Masjid Muhammad. I want to say just thank you to everyone for hanging in there. I see no one is hung up, but I am, out of respect for time, I'm going to close this. Brother Majeed, I want to just give you a last minute words. If you want to just say anything last minute, a half a second, because people can contact you and they need to do their homework. But if not, after that, we will close in a dua.
I'm good, Sister Fitrah.
Wonderful. Again, I want to say that thank you so much for sharing your personal experience with us and letting us know how important it is that we take care of our business, as you said, before we transition. Let us close in a dua from Imam Muhammad, who one of his favorite duas. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. With Allah's name, the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer. O Allah, I cannot manage this life myself without you. Please make my life what you want it to be, what you prefer it to be. Do not allow me to act on my own. Help me act only in obedience to you, Allah. We hear and we obey. Forgive us. We are asking for your forgiveness. Ameen. Until next week, thank you again to the speakers. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And contact them so that you can get the information. Go to the newsletter and you can pull down this information that Brother Jamal shared with us. And until next week, may Allah protect us and keep us safe. And may we continue to walk on the path of obedience. Assalamu alaikum, your sister and friend Fitrah Muhammad.